Welcome back. In our last video, we broke down the clinical mechanics of the trauma bond, that addiction to a person that makes it so hard to leave. But many of you reached out with a very specific concern. You said, my partner doesn't look like the narcissist you see in movies. They aren't loud, they aren't flashy, and they don't seem to have a huge ego. In fact, they seem to be shy, sensitive, or even like a victim themselves. If that sounds familiar, you might be dealing with a covert narcissist. I'm Barbara Duchnowski. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a survivor myself. In my practice, New Leaf Psychotherapy, I specialize in recovery for those who feel stuck or gaslit. As a certified narcissistic abuse treatment clinician, an EMDR therapist, and an advanced clinical hypnotherapist, I've seen how this specific type of hidden abuse can be the most damaging because you can't always name it, you can't see it. Today, we are going to unmask the wolf in sheep's clothing with 5 clinical signs that I use to help my clients find their clarity. First, we have to understand that all narcissism shares a core, a lack of empathy, and a need for admiration. But while the overt narcissist, the classic kind you see in movies and all, demands the spotlight, the covert narcissist demands your pity. That's right. Sign number 1, the vulnerable victim. They lead with their wounds. They might tell you on the first date how everyone has mistreated them or how sensitive they are. They use their vulnerability as a hook to get you to lower your guard and become their caretaker. They play to your empathy, and in clinical terms, they are using their perceived fragility to control the emotional climate of the room. They will very early on tell you of all the tragic things that have happened to them, and they may have, in reality, gone through those things. However, most people will not dump their trauma onto another upon very first meeting them, but the vulnerable narcissist most certainly will. Sign number 2, quiet superiority. What does that look like? They don't brag about their money or their looks. They just judge everyone else. You'll notice an air of, I'm too good for this. There might be some heavy sighs, an occasional eye roll, or a dismissive silence. Now, dismissive silence, the withholding, can feel so painful at a core. They feel so superior to others because they believe that they are misunderstood. They are deeper. They are more morally correct than the rest of the world. They are more worthy because they have been the victim, the martyr. Sign number 3, passive-aggressive retaliation. This is a big one. Instead of screaming, they use the silent treatment. They forget to do that one thing you asked of them, such as going to the store to do you a favor, to get that one ingredient you really need to make your family's favorite meal. And it just so happens to be that everything is back on the list, except for that one ingredient that you asked them to get. Oops, they forgot. They'll give backhanded compliments, those compliments that leave you feeling slightly insulted, but you can't quite explain it. So for example, they might say something like, wow, you look great in that red dress. Oh, but I could never wear a red dress. It just looks so loud and brash on me. They punish you through withdrawing rather than through confrontation. That can look like you sharing with them that you felt hurt when they didn't introduce you to that colleague, and all you get is silence, radio silence, a blank look on their face, perhaps a shrug, no repair, no sorry, no understanding, no next time I'll do that. All you get is silence, and that can be so painful. Makes us feel so alone in the relationship. Now, let's move on to the more subtle markers, those things that can really go unnoticed. So sign number 4, the lack of empathy cloaked in advice. So when you're hurting, a covert narcissist will often give you advice that actually makes you, well, feel smaller or more incompetent. It's often framed as, I'm just trying to help, or I'm just being honest. Oh, you wouldn't want me to lie, would you? I'm looking out for you. But what it really is their way of keeping you in the one down position, a notch below them, while appearing to you as they're being a supportive partner or friend. Now, sign number 5, hypersensitivity to criticism. In my office, clients call this feeling like they're walking on eggshells. If you make a tiny, reasonable request, like asking them to help more with the dishes, they don't discuss it. They collapse. They make you feel like a monster for even bringing it up. Their emotional fragility becomes a weapon that shuts down any attempt at accountability. They may say things to you like, "Why are you so controlling? You're so OCD. Why do you have to be so negative all the time?" "I'll get to it. You know I will." You have heard it all. Or you may just get the silence. It causes us to shut down our voice, to diminish our needs. Anytime that we need or would like support, we recognize at a deep level we will not get it. Now, if you've recognized these signs, you likely feel a heavy sense of confusion because the abuse is so quiet. You start to internalize it. You start to think, maybe I am too demanding. Or maybe I've been mean. This is where clinical tools come in to help. So what are these tools? Well, there's the subconscious script. So in clinical hypnotherapy, we see how those quiet put-downs become the loud, critical voice in our own head. We work to break those hypnotic loops the narcissist is planted in there, those seeds that have been planted in our mind, in our subconscious. Then we also can work on the body's memory. Because the abuse is hidden, your nervous system is often on high alert. It is on fight or flight mode around this individual, even when things seem fine. This is what often leads to complex post-traumatic stress disorder in many, or CPTSD. EMDR can target just those specific moments where you felt unseen, or worse yet, crazy. The trauma of the quiet discard that was processed in your body can finally feel safe again. Now, the quiet discard by the vulnerable narcissist is just as traumatizing as the loud and clear discard of the overt. In fact, it's even more confusing. Now, the overt narcissist would say something like, quote unquote, "I never loved you. I never cared about you. You just wouldn't go away." Now, the vulnerable narcissist discard is done through withholding and leaves one with the same truth of never feeling loved or seen or cared about. The relationship feels like it just ended without the actual acknowledgement of it. Now, that gut feeling you've been ignoring, that feeling that something is just off, a little confused, is actually your most valuable tool for survival. Let me tell you, you are not imagining it. Now, if this video has helped you find a name for what you've been experiencing, please subscribe and join our community. My goal is to help you move from survivor to thriver. Now, if you're in New Jersey and you're ready to start your own journey with New Leaf Psychotherapy, LLC, then we can help you through that journey with EMDR or hypnotherapy or both. And you could find our practice information on the description below. I'm Barbara Duchnowski. You are not alone. You are not crazy. And it's time to trust yourself again. I'll see you in the next video.